Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Pauper video. Today we're going to be playing with Bingo Banjo's Mardu Pestilence deck list. And I'm pretty excited about this one, because it has strong mono black energy despite being a 3-colored deck. So I think we played an Orzhov Pestilence deck on the channel maybe about 2 months ago or something like that, where the general idea was a protection from monocolored creature does not get killed from a monocolor sweeper like Pestilence. And so kind of the goal is use this creature to keep your Pestilence alive and then kind of bleed your opponents out. And the way we're going to kind of ramp up to this stuff is actually with Cleansing Wildfire. It looks like a land destruction spell at first glance, but if you are playing indestructible artifact lands, this is actually a ramp spell. So we do this targeting our own lands, and this jumps us to 4 mana. So we are looking to get value by sacrificing some of our artifacts in this deck that already give us value on the front end. Experimental Synthesizer has been a huge boon to Pauper. This card is extremely powerful, and if you can bounce it or sacrifice it for value, it just feels even better. And this card maybe doesn't look as good as it actually is, but there's a lot of value here. Like, it enters the battlefield, you get to cast a spell with it, or rather, you get to play a card with it, and you can sacrifice it, turn it into a 2/2 samurai, and potentially some extra value as well. And so this deck, like many other Pauper decks, gets to store card advantage on board rather than just keeping extra cards in hand, which is seeming to be a pretty good strategy in Pauper as of right now. The sideboard is pretty pointed. Like, we have some stuff for some blue decks, we have some stuff for some artifact decks, and we have a few other relatively pointed effects. One thing I'll say before the start of this video is that Streets of New Capenna is now live on Magic Online, and I'm not sure exactly how this is going to impact Pauper, but I'm really excited to find out, because every time Pauper has rotated in any way over the last couple of months, I've really enjoyed kind of digging my feet back into the format. I don't think I have much else to say here, although I will point out Pristine Talisman is a source of recurrent life gain in this deck, and having something like that is important if you are going to be bleeding yourself out with Pestilence. So just like throwing that out there, that's one of the ways that we are going to offset the damage that we do to ourselves. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. If you're new here and you like the content, please consider subscribing. And if you're a regular, please throw me a like before this video begins. That's the easiest way to support my content for free. If you want to get one of your own decks on the channels, especially if they feature some new cards, that information, as always, is available in the video description with the deck list. Let's battle. Okay, I am missing red mana here. I have a redraw in the form of this. I have a sweeper that might be really good against, something like fairies. I think I'm still just gonna keep this hand. Alright. So the hand's a little sketchy, in that I don't quite do anything yet, but I'm gonna kinda trust that between a few draw steps, I will find something reasonable to do. Like, even if that's just, get to Guardian of the Guildpact mana, that's not the end of the world. Seems pretty likely that my opponent is playing some sort of blink deck that also features Cleansing Wildfire. In which case, sticking a Guardian of the Guildpact uncounterably sounds kind of nice. And I'm going to play a Wellspring prior to drawing here in case I hit a tapped red land. Or rather, you know what? You probably know what I meant. Play the Wellspring to see if I draw a tapped land. Okay. Let's see if anything interesting comes down. That's just an Abrade on one of my lands. Rude. Yeah, that means I don't have a really decent play for the turn. I'd like to cast this at a point where it can't be countered. If opponent taps out for something. Just quick note on Pestilence. At the beginning of the end step, if there's no creatures on the battlefield, you sacrifice this thing. I I don't know to what extent I am supposed to be playing around counter magic. Like, I just don't know my opponent's deck list very well. I think I'm just gonna chill. Oh, okay, sure. I'll float a mana. Okay, yeah. This is the sort of thing that I wanted my opponent to like tap out or close to tap out for, so that I could like just justify playing that. And I think I'm fine just nuking this, just leaving my opponent with nothing in play. Deadly Dispute is cool and all, but I just want to stick this creature. And this probably dodges a lot of the removal that my opponent can have. Okay. Opponent is like going back and forth about whether or not they want to cast something here. Okay. So they're just going to evoke a Muldrifter and blink it in all likelihood. They do that. They're just discarding cards. Okay. No, they're not. Okay. This is currently fine with me. Got some ability to loot here. I'm not sure in which order I am supposed to play all of these things. I think I am just going to play the network terminal now, as it allows me to leave open red mana. And I can just Deadly Dispute on my opponent's end step. I'll Deadly Dispute now if my opponent counters this. Okay, that was good enough for a counterspell. And I'll Deadly Dispute, junking a Wellspring, and I'll try to hit my next land drop. Yeah, you can absolutely Galv Blast my face. That's fine. Alright, I have a Galv Blast of my own. Okay, cool. So, red mana is a go. And now I can work towards, like, maybe playing double Pestilence in a turn. What do you have? Okay, I mean, that's good. What is this targeting? Counterspell? Targeting Preordain, that's fine. You can absolutely do that. And then I will probably use this as an opportunity to resolve Pestilence, assuming my opponent doesn't play another mana source here. Nice. Right. So there's a Pestilence. I can bash in for my 2. Put opponent to 16. I'll go ahead and activate Pestilence, killing that creature. And I'll just call it a turn there. Okay, opponent's going full value Muldrifter. That's fine. They can take their cards. I'll Galv Blast a Muldrifter if my opponent tries to blink it, but otherwise I will probably just continue on the Pestilence train. With my lands, naturally, I can only do it 3 times a turn. Okay, yeah, so we're going to treat Galv Blast as a counter spell here. And probably kill that Muldrifter. Nice. Okay. So I'm always attacking for 2. Feel very confident about that. From there's a couple ways I can take this. I think I am just going to play out Experimental Synthesizer. Alright. Guess I'll play out another one. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess that's okay. Yeah, that's fine, you know. Like, when in Rome. This is going to accelerate my clock extremely quickly. That's fine. This is just 4 damage a turn, and counting Pestilence activations at 7 damage a turn. It just kills my opponent in 2 turns. That's totally fine. Like, my opponent's getting good value here, but I think they're just going to have exceptional difficulty killing my creatures. What color does this require to sacrifice? It just requires red, sure. And I think we're close enough to the end of this game that I just start bleeding us both. Deadly Dispute's cool. So battle on in with those. And it'll go to 8 from that. Then I can leave up 3 direct damage with my spell, or with my Pestilence, and making one of these, and that's just going to kill my opponent. I'll go ahead and let my opponent cast the Ephemerate, and then I'll bring the pain. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, successfully killed it. Opponent's at 5. Okay, that's good enough to get the concession. Yeah, I think waiting until I could successfully resolve one of these around a counterspell just outright won me that game. I probably want Pyroblasts, and I can consider something that breaks up graveyard-based loops as well. How much damage is Cannonade? Is it 2? 2 damage doesn't actually kill a bunch of their stuff. I probably don't play those. From there, I think like my cards are pretty reasonable. Painter's Edict isn't exactly great, but my opponent is rarely going to be on more than one creature at the same time. So, like, it's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about what comes out from here, and I'm not sure if I want the spell bombs. Like, I probably need to keep my threat density high, so, like, I probably can't touch these 12 cards, and, like, this is kind of another Pyroblast effect of sorts for stopping the Ephemerate loops. So I don't know that I go down on those. I don't know, maybe I can do without the Edicts. Like, the Pyroblasts are gonna kill most of my opponent's creatures anyway. I also wonder if this is a matchup where it's correct to take the draw. It might not be for me, but it might be for my opponent. Like, I am just very specifically trying to resolve one card while my opponent can't answer it. And otherwise, we're playing an attrition game. I'll be keeping this hand. It's going to be slow to get started, but I have some mana acceleration and what I imagine is the most important card in the matchup. Alright. Our first 2 turns are probably going to look pretty similar, as we both just play ETB tapped lands. I wouldn't mind drawing either a Wellspring or Cleansing Wildfire to accelerate this even more. Sure. We're gonna stare at each other. I'll play one more tapped land, and then I'll go for Network Terminal next turn. The looting is much worse than just straight up drawing a card, but it's still going to be pretty reasonable as the game goes long. All right, one bottom, one top. Ooh, nice. Wellspring. Totally happy with that. I know my opponent has a Braid. I'll play this one out and try the terminal. Okay, so I've got that, which means I can try a Guardian of the Guildpact at some point. I might end up in a position where, like, I play an Ichor Wellspring or a Deadly Dispute as a bait to actually resolve this. We'll see. Okay, so opponent is going for Ephemerate nonsense here, it seems. In which case I will Galv Blast. So I think my opponent going for this here just gives me an opportunity to resolve this card, and I end up just so incredibly far ahead because of it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my Guardian. And then I'll drop another bridge. So I have my 10-turn clock in play. Alright, opponent can have some ramp as a treat. This is all fine. I guess I'll just go ahead and take my attacks here, since I always expect to do that. Don't have any auras or anything that are going to grow this. And then we'll kind of see where this goes. I think I'm just going to play another Wellspring here, and then go for end step Deadly Dispute on my opponent's turn. I don't think I need to turbo things out here. Okay, Seagate Oracle is fine. I might want to cast Deadly Dispute right here, though, before my opponent gets another look at a counterspell. I'll go ahead and do that. I always get a card out of Ichor Wellspring, and then we'll see if I actually get the 2 more out of Deadly Dispute. I do. I don't think I want to counter Seagate Oracle. Like, I think it's more important for me to back up something like a Pestilence with a Pyroblast. Alright, that's fine. Go ahead and crash in for my 2. What's that? 16. I'll start out with the Synthesizer. I won't Pyroblast to protect this. I just kind of want to see if I hit a land drop with this. I do. So let's do that. I'll play out one of these. Ooh, it looks like this is good enough to get a counterspell. I don't think I care. I'm gonna call it a turn there. Again, I don't think I counter these. I have much more important things that I am looking for in the very long term. Like, resolving a Pestilence and nuking this board is just so incredibly strong for me. I'll just take my 1. Opponent's making moves on something's late to dinner. Returning a Mull Drifter. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and use this opportunity to Deadly Dispute, though, and sacrifice my Wellspring. I'm just going to try to find a Pestilence here. Not succeeded. That's okay. I think I'll be calling it a turn there. Alright. Let's start by sacrificing this and seeing where I end up. A Cleansing Wildfire. Not really what I'm looking for, but at the end of the day, it cantrips, right? So let's stick a Pristine Talisman. Let's grab a basic land drop. Play another Pristine Talisman. And I am willing to go ahead and just do this. And grab another land. I have plenty of red. I'm just going to grab another black because that matters for Pestilence. I still have a treasure token up for the future. And I'll crash on in there. This is a good amount of damage mitigation. I'm perfectly happy with this. And we're digging for Pestilence. I can start using Network Terminal to loot if I'd like. Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm going to take 4 here, but I mitigate 2 of that with these talismans, so like I'm good with that. I'm not going to fire off a removal spell on these creatures into just so much mana. Ooh, that's good. My opponent is evoking that. Probably means they are going to try to blink it. Indeed, what's happening. So I'm going to attempt to Galv Blast and kill that. I very much have Metalcraft. But I can't back this up with Pyroblast if my opponent goes in for a counterspell to protect this. I don't know that they should go in for a counterspell to protect this, because like me, resolving a Pestilence would just be game ending. Yep. They are going in for another Ephemerate. That's fine. Like, Galv Blast served as a counterspell for Ephemerate. I'm okay with that. But I need Pestilence now. I mean, yeah. Absolutely. All right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Opponent does not have actual factual counterspell available. Yeah, so let's start bleeding while there is no ability to blink this stuff. Gosh, this deck feels good. That is just disgusting. Just absolutely disgusting. Yeah. Woo. All right. Top of the deck, absolutely just delivered. As I think I got to look at 3 cards or I was just dead. Ugh. Alright, round 2 opening hand looks a little weird. I think I just keep it. If we're playing against something aggressive, I have some Galv Blasts to get me out of the early game, and I have 3 of my 4 lands towards Pestilence. So I think this is probably fine. Opponent's mulliganing very aggressively. Please don't be that, like, white heroic or a deck that I always lose to. Don't be that. That deck scares me. I should probably just play that deck on the channel sometimes just to get a better feel for, like, how it works and where the holes in its plan are. Oh, did you? Wow. Okay. Opponent kept a no-lander. So I'll Cleansing Wildfire and ramp here. Okay. That's fine. I do not believe I will sideboard any cards here. Like, I don't know what opponent is playing, and when I don't have any information, I'm not going to make my generic Game 1 deck worse. And for the folks who like doing their internet research, my opponent has no, like, 5.0 deck list published or anything, so I couldn't glean any data by going and doing that search. I only have 1 land in my opening hand here, and I don't think I want to keep this. I think I am going to have a lot of pretty respectable looking opening hands. I see myself just wanting untapped lands after turn 1. I'm going to throw back the second bridge. Okay, that's... Okay. Alright, let's get my tapped land out of the way. And And maybe my opponent's playing Affinity. I mean, that doesn't look like Affinity. That looks like one of the blink hands. Okay, so they're doing something similar to what I'm doing. All right, cool. I'm very surprised they kept a no-lander playing that deck, though. Like, I would have mulliganed to multiple lands in an effort to stay in the game rather than keep what they kept. I'll do my own Cleansing Wildfire, and I think I'm just going to mana fix here rather than just continue to get black sources. Ooh, I don't mind that. I think the ability to play the, what is it, Guardian of the Guildpact when I draw one is just, like, too important to ignore. See what my opponent has going on here. Okay, just more ramp. Ramp is good. I don't really want more lands at this stage, but I don't really have more say in it. Probably tiny mistake on my end. I think I should have played an artifact land that turn to have Metalcraft for Galvanic Blast. It matters if they start doing ephemerate stuff after playing like a Seagate Oracle or something that the 2 damage wouldn't kill. My head went to, I don't want to get this land abraded, which probably wouldn't happen because I gave a more attractive abrade target anyway. I think I should have played Vault of Whispers that turn. And end step, I'll just gain my life. Synthesizer's cool. There's a weird world where I want to play an artifact land before playing this, but I don't super expect that to come up. Alright. Now I'm just chilling. I think my opponent is in the better position right now. Like, they are probably sitting on interactive spells, whereas I am only sitting on removal spells. And this Pestilence isn't great until I go and stick a Guardian that is going to stick around, or I otherwise use it to clear out a few creatures. This is a great draw, though. I'm totally happy with this. Like, this just cycles and gives me a little value and makes Deadly Dispute better later. Yeah. Alright. We're chilling. Not dying, but I do feel like my opponent pulls ahead with these turn cycles here. But hey, I'm doing fine in terms of life total. So I got that going for me. Are we gonna continue the game of staring at each other? Ooh. Movement. More movement. Ooh. I am really surprised they don't go for the Pristine Talisman, though. Like, that life gain is quite nice. So that's pretty annoying in terms of, like, making soft counters better, and in terms of, like, my Pestilence just being able to bleed my opponent out more easily. A little bit of life for later. I am going to cast that at my opponent's end step rather than just do it now, I think. Like, doing it now is kind of cool. But my opponent has 6 open mana right now. I don't think I want to mess around with that. Like, I'll let them do whatever they will on their turn, and then attempt to Deadly Dispute. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't work, that sets me up to potentially do something else on my turn. Like, I always draw at least 1 guaranteed card off of Wellspring. Alright. Deadly Dispute. Dunk the Wellspring. Don't really want the Edict here. Okay. I don't want this to get countered. I'm gonna start by playing another one of these talismans and see if my opponent will rip off a counterspell on that. No? Okay. I'm just gonna chill. Like, I value this card extremely highly, and I have 4 of them. Like, if I resolve this card, I get to attempt Pestilence afterwards. And that will be very good. I'm not currently in a configuration where I have Pyroblasts to back up this. So it's like much easier for me to wait in a game 3 scenario, since my opponent just kind of like conceded game 2, or rather conceded game 1 immediately after not drawing lands. I'll just take my life end of turn. Okay. More Talisman. Let's start there. I will attempt an Edict on my opponent. Just get this out of the way if I can. Opponent is thinking about, like, ephemerating. I think I'm going to fight harder. I'm gonna treat this like a counter spell for this. Yeah, tap that mana. I really wanted you to tap 2 of these blue lands and get you just like completely out of counterspell range before trying to play this. Ooh, 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 yeah. Whatever this is, I like it. So this is counter unless I pay 6, which I can't do. Nor do I want to do. We'll just say no to that. I should have actually. Does replicate always pick the same target? I don't actually know. I should have checked that. Alright, so now Chainer's Edict still kills this. And I'm actually going to hold this land, I think. Now I will stick this Guardian. Alright, the fake fight was successful. Yeah. Okay, folks, that is a great example of knowing what is important in a match and playing towards it. Like, I had that Guardian 4 turns, and I just knew, like, if I can stick this, I'm probably winning. And I made my opponent care about something that was not this card so that I could resolve it. I feel good about that. I believe I will keep my round 3 hand. It's a little slow, but I don't think bad. All right. Lots of bridges today. Absolutely lots of bridges. Let's get my tapped land out of the way. So, even though this card is a 1-drop, it's often probably going to be better treated as a mid to late game card. Because, like, you can play it on your turn 2 and, like, hit a land with it, and that'll feel real good. But it feels even better to, like, go mid game and then get a 4-drop out of it or something. Okay, lots of artifact lands. Opponent could be playing the same deck I am, or they could just be playing Affinity. Ooh, could be a mirror. What land am I playing this turn? I don't think it matters much. I don't think I'm going to show the red mana yet. I'll just play my Wellspring. Unsure if I like the Edict yet. Like, opponent could just be playing Affinity, where, like, having a pile of removal is pretty respectable. Or we could be playing a Pestilence Mirror. Our draws are looking real similar as of right now. Opponent has 8 cards in hand. Okay. Okay. This is all fine. Okay. Mirror Enforcer is very good. So I probably want to Cannonade and destroy Frogmite so that I can use an Edict to potentially answer Mirror Enforcer. I think I am going to take 2 from Frogmite in order to play this at the end step on my opponent's turn and just make it more likely that I actually kill the 4/4 with Chainer's Edict. If I just kill the Frogmite now and then my opponent, like, draws another or plays a Disciple or something, it's not great for me. If Disciple is still legal. A bunch of cards from Affinity got hit at the same time, and I don't remember which ones. Wellspring is good. Okay, there's a blue land now. I will just take the 6. Again, don't want to run into post-combat 2/2s or anything to keep me from edicting this. Cool. The protection from monocolored is a little less fun against colorless creatures, but it's still good. So let's Chainer's Edict my opponent, and then I'll leave up Deadly Dispute. Opponent's waiting to play costs on something. They don't have 2 mana for, like, a Deadly Dispute, which is what I would expect. Okay, cool. I'm gonna Deadly Dispute now. It's like, always doing it, and I don't know if my opponent randomly has, like, some sort of Dispel effect. I do want to gain some life so that I can realistically use Pestilence. Alright. This game begins. Deadly Dispute time now? It is. Alright, so opponent's got a good amount of value going. A great amount of value going. Returning Mirror Enforcers with that will be really annoying for me. Okay. Play the Synthesizer and see what I hit. Ah, Pristine Talisman. I did say I wanted life gain. I think I will go ahead and just accept that. Play out a land and call it a turn. And then Pestilence starts to become live next turn. Although I'd like to play Guardian of the Guildpact first. I guess I'll have 8 mana next turn, so like, well, I'll potentially have 8 mana next turn. I need to hit a land. Okay, that's a lot of card draw. Is it 4 to sack this? Yeah. Okay. This is gonna be a lot to grind through. I'm not sure if my life total is high enough for all this. I'll just take my life here and move on. Okay. So there's my next mana source. So there's the Guardian. And I am 100% good with using the treasure here. Oh, do you have counter spells? I don't like it if you have counter spells. Okay. I have another. So that is not the end of the world. There another? Good God. So much card draw. I have 4 Dust to Dust in the sideboard for this matchup. Wow. Like, opponent is on 10 cards in hand with a Blood Fountain and an Experimental Synthesizer sitting in play as well. That's tough. Like, okay. Mirror Enforcer and Frogmite. That's a lot. Oh, God. Okay. So, in good news, I get a Pestilence lock for my opponent's creatures this turn. In bad news, makeshift munitions just means I'm so dead. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. I will attempt to play a game of Magic, but I straight up don't think I can beat that munitions in play. I'm gonna concede here and save the clock. Like, that's just so much direct damage to my face, and Talisman doesn't nearly offset that. Do I cop red? This is a weird situation for me because, like, Spellbomb is not necessarily a good card here, but in certain situations it can break up some bullshit with Blood Fountain and Mirror Retriever. I don't think I feel good about this matchup, like even with 4 Dust to Dust. I also think the Dust to Dust is going to be a little hard to cast. Just guessing. I'm not sure how to board. Don't feel good about this. Opponent has a bunch of 4/4 creatures that this doesn't stop. I'm gonna junk these. Yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't feel good about this. I probably can't cut any of these, even though like they're not great versus all these colorless creatures, because like they're so important to keeping my Pestilence alive. But I think between the early damage and the endgame munitions, fuck. Yeah. I get rid of a deadly dispute, and I don't know what to do with the second one. Maybe I go down 1 Pestilence. Like, I still want that card just about every game. I don't think I can keep this one. I think the mana's too awkward. This is better. I think I'm just going to pitch the Network Terminal here. I am unsure if Network Terminal is better or worse than just another land drop. That is unclear to me. All right. Let's Wildfire. I will use this ability. And for Pestilence, I think I'm just going to immediately pick up more black sources. Holy lands, Batman. I will get overrun if I don't draw some gas here. Alright. I'll have Metalcraft for these Galv Blasts next turn. So I wouldn't have another artifact to loot with my other card anyway. Yep. I could consider shooting Frogmite with some of this stuff on the stack to just decrease affinity count. Alright. Life's bad. I think I am going to take out individual creatures here. My 2-for-1 of Dust to Dust are just like not going to keep up with all the card advantage that my opponent has, even if I draw them. Yeah, just absolutely do not know how to approach this matchup to actually win it. Like, I don't know how I beat that card ever. Ugh. Uh, I'm gonna give this a couple of turns, but I expect that I am dead. Like, makeshift munitions has a lightning bolt worth of damage and 3 card draws associated with it, right? This is so good. Ugh. Don't have any blasts that kill that thing. Reckoner's Bargain is the other Deadly Dispute type card. That one gains life. It has 12 divination effects. I don't think I can win this matchup. Like, I am going to concede. Like, I know that I am at 19 and my opponent has 1 power in play, but I cannot fathom how I am supposed to win with this in play already. Like, my opponent can just, like, throw lands at me and I am going to die. Uh, I, I don't know how to win this matchup. Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, please consider doing something to support me. You can do plenty of things for free without using any money, like liking and commenting on the video or subscribing to the channel. Those sorts of things support me, and if you're in a position that you can support me financially, you can do so by doing a donation deck list, becoming a YouTube member, or following me on Patreon. All right, that's the plug. Back to the magic. All right, round 3. I think this one is a borderline keep. I think I'll just keep it. I would like more mana. We're playing against burn? I'm nervous if the answer is yes. I do not kill quickly. Absolutely do not kill quickly. Alright, tap land, let's go. Alright. Could be like a Kiln Fiend sort of deck. Yeah. Alright, so luckily I have Cast Down to kill that, because Galvblast's Metalcraft is not online yet. And I think I kill these at sorcery speed when possible, because there's like Apostle's Blessing to think about. I think I play my Artif. Oh, maybe I play Mountain here. The Experimental Synthesizer is better next turn. But Metalcraft. Let's play Mountain, because that helps with some of the Experimental Synthesizer lines that I take when my opponent, well, if my opponent doesn't play a creature, rather. Okay, so they are just simply cycling this for another card. That's a good sign for me. That's a great sign for me. Okay, fantastic. So now I can actually just use this turn to ramp. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So let's go ahead and Cleansing Wildfire. I will just get Swamps for Pestilence. And then I will make my normal land drop. And protection from monocolored is going to be really good in this matchup. Trample is a thing that exists, so like I am going to have to keep that in mind, but I like this a lot. All right. So this one is quite not as scared. This is the worst creature of the 3 in the deck: Kiln Fiend, Festival Crasher, and Mage Ring Bully. Like it's still absolutely a thing that matters. A Cannonade or Guardian. Cannonade is countered by so many things here. Galvblast isn't quite online for Metalcraft. I think I Guardian. This isn't foolproof. Like, again, things like Crash Through, or I think Apostle's Blessing straight up gives protection from a color. Like, things can get through this, but I think I'm pretty unlikely to die from 20 here. Taking a quick look at the sideboard, I do have a Cop Red. Probably pretty reasonable. Okay. There is Trample. So my opponent can get in for some damage this turn, and like their creature isn't dying. Alright, here it comes. Obligatory block. See if this is all I'm taking. Hell yeah, very happy to only take that amount of damage. Okay, I actually like that draw a lot. Because now this can give me Metalcraft. We'll see what I hit. Another synthesizer. I think I just ignore that. It's absolute value to play it. I think I just ignore that. And just play more strongly to the board. I think these two together sponge up enough damage that I'm in no threat of dying. I also don't think I need to attack. I don't think the attack is that bad, for the record. I just think that holding both of these creatures back makes it just so incredibly unlikely that I can just die at all. And if my opponent plays more creatures to the board, things like Fiery Cannonade start to look better and better for me. I think opponent, like, really needs a second creature. By the way, if you like what's going on the other side of the battlefield, I have a really good league with this deck. Okay. Apostle's Blessing is very good. Maybe I should have just Galv Blasted. So did my opponent have something up for that? Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Yeah, I didn't account for Manamorphose math when I decided to play out Guardian. Yeah, I guess I should have just Galv Blasted. Alright, that stings a bit. Industrial Anger, give haste. No, trample. Alright. Let's go 1, 2, 3. And just kill that. And I'll Cleansing Wildfire. Yes, I'll use this ability. Keep getting Swamps or Pestilence in case that becomes relevant. And bash on in there. Not quite as safe as I would want to be. I also really don't want to drop game 1. I expect game 1 is usually pretty good for me. I really like a Talisman. Talisman? Just Deadly Dispute Experimental Synthesizer here as a starting point. I think I'm good with that. Alright. Back Synthesizer. Talisman. Yeah. I'll go ahead and play that. Attempt to Galv Blast this creature now. Apostle's Blessing, Apostle's Blessing. Okay. So I think I will go ahead and play Wellspring, and then just see if I spike another removal spell. I do not. I think I hold back both creatures. Now next turn I can use Pestilence to attempt to kill this thing. Okay, that gives Trample. So with opponent having 3 cards in hand, I expect that I am dead here. So they're doing 0 damage with the attack currently. But 2 more spells does it. Alright, get in front of the bus, folks. Alright. Lava Dart hits me directly. And then Lava Dart with Flashback just kills me. Fortunately. Yeah, I should have played the Galvanic Blast instead of going for Double Guardian. Like, that one's on me. It was very winnable. Alright, 1 Circle of Protection, red in. I don't think it would be crazy to play Castigate to just give me more early plays. I'll usually win the late game. I don't super have cards that I want to cut. My cards are pretty good here. I'll go, like, down a Deadly Dispute. Yeah. I think I'm just gonna mostly run the deck as is. Okay, I have no early removal spells here. I probably have to mulligan this hand, even though I think this hand is reasonable looking. No. I obviously have to go to 5 here. That is no mana. Alright, I have the Circle of Protection red. That's real cool. Guardian goes back. I think Synthesizer goes back. Wow, opponent is mulliganing to 4. So we are both starting on just minimal resources. I understand opponent needing to mulligan though, because like they only have so many threats, and some of their threats are just night and day better than others. Alright. Life's good. Like, getting to stick this card is just so nice. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if opponent just concedes to it. Like, on a 7-card hand, no, absolutely not. You just work towards multiple threats, but, like, once you've mulliganed to 4 or whatever they just did, that's gonna be hard to beat. Alright, are we just gonna see cantrips? Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Means opponent probably can't play a threat this turn. I'd love to spike a land. The land so that I can just get Pristine Talisman going would be clutch. But a bunch of my lands enter ETB tapped anyway, so like, not super expecting it. Synthesizer is cool for later. I assume this is going to be opponent playing a creature. That's fine. Alright. So let's go land drop. Pristine Talisman. And now I'm gaining life while doing the Cop Red effect. Okay, sure. Opponent also just, like, has 3 cards. So I will prevent the damage from Kiln Fiend here. And this is a red source of your choice, so I don't believe that targets or anything. For the sake of using my mana, I am fine with doing this. I don't really need to, but I don't have anything else to do with my mana here. Yeah, absolutely flash that back. So, like, I'm putting opponent into this situation where they need multiple bodies, and I have, like, this fiery cannonade waiting in the wing for later. Just really punish that. Okay. There is my red source so that I can start actually doing something proactive. Alright, there's a creature. Unsure if I'm going to actually try and remove that or not. I don't really care about it as of right now. I'm going to go ahead and just experimental synthesizer this turn and see where this leads me. That plains is fine. And just for the sake of simplicity, just nuke that thing's damage right now. Flaring Pain a common? Guess that's a question that I have. Ooh, oh, this fiery cannonade looks good. And I've already prevented that damage. Cleansing Wildfire is cool too. Alright, so my opponent can save this. They are not. Now let's go land drop. And go ahead and just do some Cleansing Wildfire nonsense. Yeah. Alright, let's draw that Circle of Protection again, huh? That was a hell of a drug. The Castigate, I think, becomes a little better when I'm on the draw, because it's just like one more piece of interaction that helps me make it to my endgame inevitability. But again, I don't really know what I want to take out, and like I don't mind the network terminal for fixing an additional mana sources. Castigate just lets me check for like Apostle's Blessing. I love having Galv Blast, but I think this is just too much mana. I like this a lot. A lot. I think I throw back 1 Guardian here. Like, it's tempting to throw back the experimental synthesizer, but this might be the thing that helps me make my land drops to get to 4 in the first place. So I don't think I'm going to do that. Oh wow, opponent discarded a Kiln Fiend. Their hand must be gas. I just want land here. Okay, nice. I'll play out this one this turn, and then I can play Swamp untapped on my turn to either cast down or Chainer's Edict. I'll probably cast down if my opponent taps out, because Chainer's Edict is safer against like Apostle's Blessing type effects. Opponent asks, can I stop Cop Red with protection spells, or does it choose and not target? I believe it is a source of your choice, so it does not target. So we will go ahead and just cast down this while my opponent does not have mana available to protect it. Alright, opponent's got another land. I have a Chainer's Edict for another creature. Oh, great. If I don't have to do that, then I can play either Ichor Wellspring or Experimental Synthesizer this turn. Probably Wellspring. I'll just play Wellspring and tapped Drawforge Bridge. Drossforge Bridge. There we go. Alright. Other synthesizer. Cool. Alright, so I have the next creature covered with Chainer's Edict. I can temporarily stop some stuff with this. If I work towards 7 mana, I can have the follow-up creature as well. I feel good about my situation. Not perfect or anything, but I feel good about my situation. Okay, sure. I think I am going to... Ooh, maybe I just play the Guardian. I'll just play the Guardian here. That's fine. Like, this is the start of killing my opponent on turns that I don't have to actually hold it back. Oh, seems like a creature. Nope, Manamorphose. JK. That is all 4 Manamorphose, so I can take that out of the equation in terms of math here. Oh no. That's not good for my opponent. So let's Synthesizer. That's a little sad, because my land's ETB tapped. Alright. It is what it is. Crash in for 2. And this is what I was talking about with, like choosing to junk experimental synthesizer in the mid game rather than the early game. Although in terms of clock, I might just double my clock to 4 damage a turn and just give up the card that is under this, so to speak. Okay, that's fine. A little scarier if my opponent plays out a second creature. I don't think I'm going to junk this. I think I'm going to wait until my turn. I can always Chainer's Edict it successfully for 2 mana, but I might be able to do something cooler. I'm not going to try to just kill that with a Cannonade here. All right. See what I hit. A Wellspring. Hoping for a land or a removal spell that could kill that. I will just take that creature out. Not exactly getting maximum experimental synthesizer value, but like I have another one in hand. All right, get in there. By the way, in case you're looking at the clock discrepancy, my opponent has already told me in chat, like, hey, sorry, my moto is going really slowly right now. So, like, that is what it is. We've all been there. I mean, unless you don't play on Magic Online, then you haven't been there, but sometimes the program gets bogged down. All right. So an untapped land means that I can just cast down that creature. That is not an untapped land, so I'll start with Experimental Synthesizer and see if I can find a removal spell. All right, what do we got? A tapped land. Yeah. I could sacrifice this immediately. I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to play a Pristine Talisman. I'm going to attack in with my Vigilant creature and see if my opponent blocks. They do. I'll go ahead and just go to damage regularly. Cool. Then you, not a pirate. So I can attempt to finish it off with this. Okay, I've gotten a mutagenic growth for my trouble, which is totally fine. So all I need to do is not die this turn, and then I can Chainer's Edict it away next turn. Manamorphose is gone. And I believe all the Faithless Lootings are out of my opponent's graveyard as well, yeah. Okay. So there's Trample. So my opponent will get in for some damage this turn. Probably not lethal amounts of damage. But stranger things have happened, I guess. Okay, cool. So let's just go land drop. Chainer's Edict my opponent. Fine with just doing that. And crashing on in. Okay, yeah. Opponent's at the point where they're like, okay, yeah, you got it. I just kind of want to look at what my next couple of cards would have been out of curiosity. Oh, that Deadly Dispute would have been gas. I would have hit that next turn and gone real deep. Okay, I think I keep this opening hand. It gets significantly better if I draw either a tapped or untapped red source. I have a little removal, I have a lot of ramp, and a handful of my things in my hand cantrip. I think this forgives the fact that I don't necessarily do anything immediately. Ooh, yeah, red land is fantastic. Now Cleansing Wildfire is on for turn 2. Might be playing against fairies. Alright. Do the thing. And I think these will just be getting black sources. Yeah, just totally fine with trading counterspell there. Okay, sure. So I have 2 removal spells showing. I guess, like, the big thing that I'm scared of as this game goes long is... Thorn of the Black Rose for my opponent to become a Monarch if they are the blue-black version. I think I use my sorcery speed removal first. The instance can be nice versus some ninja-type cards later or something. Alright. Opponent's cast down is, oh, okay. I guess them showing that, like, confirms they're the blue-black version. You know, onboard information and whatnot. Although, if I'm being honest, I was already kind of assuming they were blue-black. I have a pile of Pyroblasts in the sideboard for this matchup. That's all fine. Unless something changes, I'm currently looking at going Network Terminal into Cast Down on my turn. I think I'm still okay with that. I can maybe wait to Cast Down until my opponent's turn. Do this now. Like, I would not mind my opponent countering this and just getting more creatures on board that I get to, like, wipe up with Fiery Cannonade. Although, that one doesn't get wiped up by Cannonade, unfortunately. Finding Preordain. Sure. Okay, there's the black mana. That's fine. I think I can safely start with Experimental Synthesizer here and just see if I find anything that's nuts. Hey, is that nuts? That feels nuts. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, yeah. I get to Pestilence, wipe the board of these small creatures, and then this just gets to sit around allowing me to keep the Pestilence. So I'm very good with the current situation. When my opponent starts getting a recursive source of card advantage, like the Pestilence will start looking a little worse. Until then, I think I'm good. I know my opponent has this cast down, so that makes some of my, like, wipe the board with Pestilence and then make Samurai lines, like, a little worse. Yeah, sure. Let's just Wellspring to start. Nice. Yeah, that should be plenty safe. All right, good stuff. So now, next turn, I can use this to deal with these augurs. And then I can take the Monarch back if my opponent becomes it. If my opponent has Chainer's Edict, that's annoying. Otherwise, I'm pretty good here. I'm gonna maybe assume that the cast down leaves my opponent's hand if they shuffle. Okay, and there is an Evolving Wilds to shuffle. And there's the shuffle. Not surprised to see opponent going for more black mana. It is a Gurmag Angler. Okay, do I want to deal 1 to everyone end of turn? I don't think so, because I'm about to just deal 5 to myself. Ooh, Galblast is cool. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pestilences. And put my opponent to 12. I'm trying to save this Galvanic Blast to just go to my opponent's dome to end the game. FYI, that's why I didn't use it on the Gurmag Angler, to just save life points. Yeah. Alright, good stuff. 4 Pyroblasts. Spellbomb's not crazy either, but kind of like something I'm feeling in these rounds is that I don't necessarily have that many cards that I want to take out. Yeah, like all my cards are reasonable. Might be a trim situation. Like trim a Deadly Dispute, trim a Network Terminal, trim a Fire. Unsure on the last card. Like, it's not these, not these, not these. I don't think I get to take out any of my removal spells. Feels weird to do a synthesizer, but maybe it's fine. I think the synthesizer gets a little worse once I add Pyroblasts to my deck. I'll absolutely keep this hand. This is a lot of life gain over time. Alright, good. Now I don't have to make the choice about whether or not I play this land on turn 1. I can just play this tapped. Like, the slower my opponent's hand is, the better for me this time around. Nice. Alright, I have a lot of interaction, a lot of life gain. I would still like to hit more land drops. And I'm not sure if I tap out for Wellspring on turn 2 or not. My opponent doesn't play a threat, I probably can. That's okay. The opponent just, like, went... Was this counter target artifact or enchantment spell? Sure. I think I'm comfortable slipping this in here. So this card will eat something this game, although I might be able to play around it or otherwise wiggle in a way where I minimize the impact of that card. That was bottom. Oh, if that's it, I'm totally good with this. Yeah, let's just ramp this turn. I will go ahead and just Cleansing Wildfire. Yes. Have white in the future, so I'll just grab another swamp for Pestilence-based purposes. And play a tapped land. 3, 6, 7. And now I can potentially use Pristine Talisman to bait a null. Or just, like, find a point where my opponent taps out and resolve it. Feel pretty good about current situation. I think if my opponent brainstorm locks themselves, they lose the game on the spot. Okay. Okay. There is a shuffle. So opponent can kind of presumably get themselves out of this situation, or at least put themselves in a better situation than what they were in previously. Or do I just play Pestilence and counter the annul? Just like stick it here. I don't really feel like I'm in a rush. I think I'm actually going to use this as a bait spell and just try to get the annul out of their hand rather than like use my Pyroblast. Alright, opponent just lets it resolve. Okay, cool. And I will make a land drop here. Play a Pristine Talisman. Alright, do I counter? I don't think so. Pestilence is so important. Like, I just really don't care about Augur poking me for one. I potentially care about, like, it turning into a ninja, but that's about it. Yeah, that's fine. I will just take the hit. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total mana. I think I'll actually start here. Yeah, nice. And then I'll just play this. Nice. Okay. Call it a turn. I can potentially Deadly Dispute at my opponent's end step if I'd like. That's fine. Okay, this gives my opponent access to black mana, which they previously did not have access to. I will just go for a Deadly Dispute off Ichor Wellspring at end step. Alright, another Pestilence. It's all fine. Let's start with this. Turn this into something. Painter's Edict is not what I'm hoping to hit there. I think I'll go ahead and cast a new Pristine Talisman. That's fine. Go ahead and play this. And I think I'm going to give up this treasure token purely to put this card into my graveyard and just have that around for later. This is one of the first times that I've actually dropped Pyroblast this game, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. At this point, I'm trying to use the Pyroblast to protect Guardian when I play one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's use the expensive removal spell. Flash that back. I will Pyroblast this. I'm potentially just looking to get a second removal spell out of hand. Alright, so be it. This is fine. Again, unless my opponent has a recursive source of card advantage like a ninja, I don't care too much about the specifics of their hand. And also at some point use a Pestilence with the understanding. Ooh, that finding counterspell is very good. I can also just use that at some point with the understanding that just a temporary stopgap. A lot of Pyroblast. Let's start with a cast down. Am I going to do everything on my opponent's turn? I'm going to do everything on my opponent's turn. Just wait. Start with a cast down on Gurmag Angler. That's worth a Pyroblast. Yeah. Miss that. Okay. And I'm good with taking 2 this turn. And I'll potentially just use a Pestilence at some point in the not too distant future to just go and take those creatures off board. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play Pestilence. Counter spell. I accept. I will try again next turn. I'm only taking 1 damage a turn because of my Pristine Talisman. So I don't think I need to just like tap too low here. Ninja of the Deep Hours. I don't think I want to let my opponent draw a card. That was just a quick pirate check, just like confirm I'm not crazy there. Alright, cool. I'll take 1. And now I'm going to just attempt to... Opponent using a removal spell on one of their own creatures would be awkward for me here. I think I'm just going to still cast this, though. I need to keep in mind these are my last 2 Pyroblasts, so, like, these are the things that I get to use to protect my spells from here. Alright, yeah. Yeah. Alright, Storm is 1. Storm is 2. I'm gonna hold that card. The colorless mana doesn't do a lot, and I do have something in my deck that loots. I am taking 0 damage a turn, in reality, because of Pristine Talisman. Fuck. So I need to find a creature or that card buries me. This is very bad. Okay. Not great. I also actually start to take real damage each turn now. Alright. Alright, I'll take 2. Alright, I'm at 15. I'll always yield to that. I'll gain my life. Like a deadly dispute here? Eh. Okay. I guess there's a world where I can attempt to win by mill. My opponent is drawing more cards a turn than I am. Sure. That might be realistic if I get another Pristine Talisman. Just, like, not even exaggerating. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'm going to end up in the situation where I try to kill my opponent over 2 turns with the number of black sources that I have now. So I'll go to 13 here. Go up to 14. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can deal 16 over 2 turns with Pestilence. So I need to start doing a little bit now. But I can't actually wipe the board yet. Deadly Dispute is real cool. 3, 6, 7, 8, 8, 16. They'll find to do now. Just like guaranteed draw my 1 card. Oh, Guardian is super cool. That just makes my life significantly easier. I'll just play that with a couple of Pyroblasts back up. Nice. There is the Chainer's Edict, unfortunately. I wonder if this is the point where I just go ahead and nuke my own Pestilence. Take the damage. Because, like, every time I just gain life with this Talisman, it's 1 more activation of this. Target opponent exiles an enchantment they control. Okay. Well, at that point, I probably need to kill these creatures. Wish I'd done that before my opponent snuck in 2 more damage, but it is what it is. Right. Goodbye, Pestilence. That's fine. My opponent drawing, like, a billion cards is not fine, though. Okay. I don't want to let my opponent cheat in a ninja next turn. I will just Galv Blast that. Right. No. I don't really want to fight over that. Good God. Feel like I'm committed at this point. That junks 3 of my opponent's cards. They're still just gaining a bunch of life, though. Less good at resolving a card that matters, but I'm mostly trying to stay alive here. Unfortunate. Let's gem. I've used all my Pyroblasts. Okay. Opponent doesn't immediately have a counterspell. I think they've used 3 of their 4. Yeah, they've used 3 of their 4. Alright, it has resolved. Guess they just have flashback Chainer's Edict, though. That sucks. I guess I should have waited for whatchamacallit. A samurai token. Alright, Echoing Truth. Just target non-land permanent. That makes my removal spells a little awkward. Although that's a tapped land. Garmag Angler's real good. Alright, another Pristine Talisman. Yeah. Chainer's Edict you. Immediately flash it back. And get rid of the Garmag Angler. Opponent could have played more conservatively and held up Echoing Truth for their Garmag Angler. But, like, they're just drawing a billion cards, so, like, I don't blame them. That was top. I like what's coming. Milling opponent out is, like, definitely a real thing at this point. No, that's fine. Count another one. Call it a turn. happy enough to take one here. I'd like to get more value out of this cannonade than just this. That definitely qualifies. So let's attempt to kill that. Hydroblast, sure. I'll take 2. Again, like, this is getting very real. Opponent having yet another Gurmag Angler is rough for me. Alright, you draw your card. Not super happy with that. I think that means Pestilence is not really an out for me. I take 8 here and go to 4, which is really like me being at 5. Is 1 short of where I need to be to kill a Gurmag Angler with Pestilence. Opponent has Hydroblast. And I just drew another land. Given how close the clock is here, I am going to make my opponent click through combat. And I'll gain my life along the way. Alright. Hell of a grind there. So if the game goes that long again, I definitely want that last experimental synthesizer. And if the game goes that long again, I definitely want spell bombs to just make it harder to cast Gurmag Anglers. But I don't know that the game is going that long again. Like, probably not that. Probably go down one of these. That gets me the synthesizer back in there. Yeah, I'm just so bad at taking the Monarch back if my opponent gets it. I have literally 4 creatures in the deck plus synthesizer as ways to take it. So, like, I'm super afraid of that card. I think I'm more or less okay with where things are at, though. I do not have red mana, but I have I have a redraw, a removal spell, and then multiple other things that are going to cantrip. I think I still just keep this and go from there. I imagine my opponent is going to start playing just so much faster than they were previously. It's like they kind of recognize the stakes here. Yeah, Augur's fine. Finding a null. I think I just want to ramp here. Yes, I will use this ability. I almost want a second red here. I am going to do that. Ooh, Pristine Talisman. Very much good with that draw. Like, even though I know about the annul. Alright, so opponent has a ninja. That's fine. They get their card. And they're just discarding. Oh, yeah. I think this is just a situation where I just kill this. And I'm just going to play a Wellspring. If my opponent, like, trades a null for it, that's a great trade for me. Yeah. Absolutely. Augur is fine. A Dispel, sure. Let's take this opportunity to resolve the Pristine Talisman. And I think I'll just keep the board empty here by edicting this thing. Got 6 mana sources in terms of, like, thinking about Gurmag Angler. There it is. Guardian of the Guildpact is fantastic. So I'm playing that with Pyroblast backup. Nice. Sure. Alright, and we stare at each other a bit. I'm going to play this synthesizer this turn. Try to hit more land drops. Okay. Now I'm just going to call it a turn. I'm fine taking 1 here. The step, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to cast down a Gurmag Angler. So I know my opponent has Dispel. Oh, actual factual counterspell instead. Now, go ahead and attempt Pestilence. Call it a turn there. Opponent does have that weird enchantment edict. I'm gonna go ahead and Pestilence this away. I'll block, absolutely. Cool, cool, cool. So now I'm just chilling. Deadly Dispute is cool. I'll just cast that at my opponent's end of turn. End of turn, Deadly Dispute. Sacrificing the Wellspring. That's fine. I'd rather protect this Talisman, honestly. Ooh, or that. Or both. Alright, there's a new Talisman. Play a new one of these. Means I'm comfortable starting to swing. Alright, Feel good about this situation. I'll also probably just start burning my opponent. I've got the faster clock here. Cleansing Wildfire's cool. Use that to get more black mana so I can actually take the Gurmag Angler out of play. Fine. I also do have this Chainer's Edict sitting in my graveyard that I can also use. So let's gain some life end of turn and do some Pestilence activations. I'm going to go pretty quickly here in terms of ending this game. Very nice. Echoing Truth, the Pestilence back to my hand. That's fine. I will absolutely just recast that. And if it doesn't work, I have a Chainer's Edict still. Attempt Pyroblast. And you've got a Sprite. That's fine. I'll just bash in with one of these again. When it's at 9. I'm gaining 2 a turn. My opponent can poke me for 1 in the air. Like, that's fine. A Ninja's moderately annoying. I think I just outclock what my opponent is doing pretty significantly. Second Gurmag Angler could get weird. Yeah. Confirmed. So let's just get rid of that card. Sure. And then I'll hold back until next turn. Work towards Chainer's Edict. Lock both. Sure, cast down's great. I think I'm just going to start here. Start with that. And attempt to kill a Gurmag Angler. Sure, so you've got to play another Sprite. Oh, that's fine. That's all fine. Pyroblast. Yep. Bottom. I might just Pyroblast that. Just because it's annoying. Gain some life. An opponent can hit me for 2. And I'll block. Attempt to Galv Blast your face. Go to 5. I'll hit you for 4. I'll kill you next turn. I'll just gain 2 right now so that I can F6. Yeah, I'll take 12. Like, it takes something absolutely crazy, like double Chainer's Edict to kill me here. Yep. Yeah. Alright, didn't randomly lose to Darkness today. Today was a good day. That was a slog, folks. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Good, but I don't know how I ever beat Affinity. Like, I get that there's 4 Dust to Dust in the sideboards there, but the Munitions card that lets you sacrifice artifacts to deal direct damage seems just absolutely unbeatable. I don't know what to do against that card. Outside of that specific card, I felt pretty equal to favored in most of the exchanges that I was on the other side of. Specifically, I do not like how scary the Monarch mechanic is, because I just have so few ways to take it back. So, like, maybe this deck wants a Monarch card of its own in the sideboard, so that, like, you have the ability to, like, take the Monarch from an opponent. Like, that would be something that I would consider. But, like, this is a cool little package. Like, Pristine Talisman helps to make it so that you can continue to activate Pestilence, and helps, like, buy you life versus some of the aggro decks. I like what's going on here, and this was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, throw me a like, leave me a comment. Those sorts of things help out a lot. And if you have your own cool Pauper deck, or a deck of some other format that you want me to try, this deck list and my donation information, those are available in the video description as always. Have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya!